A great way of reclaiming wax from old frames of comb that are no good to the bees anymore is to use a solar wax melter. And this I look at in another video. However, if you're in the middle of winter and you need some more wax, perhaps you're making candles for Christmas presents, then a solar wax melter isn't a lot of good because there's no sun. Then you have to bring the wax inside and you use it in your kitchen on your hob, which brings its own set of problems, as you'll see in the video. Quick vid on turning yucky old frames of wax. It's actually not too bad, but I want the wax into candles. That's what I'm doing for Christmas. Brood frames here, you can see nice and dirty brown where they have raised several generations of bees. Ooh, wax moth. Quick look at the end product. How nice are these? Favourite one. So I got most of these candle moulds from Timo. So there we are, end product to inspire. So this is messy, and if you can do it outside and save your kitchen floor, I would recommend it, because every little bit of wax that ends up on the floor and gets trodden on sticks to the floor and then collects dirt until you get round to scraping it off. But as it's November, I'm doing it inside. So tray, knife, pan simply to hold my cheesecloth. I've already rendered some cleaner wax through that, so I'm just going to reuse it. There's no magic to this, and it is messy, but basically I'll do a sharp knife down both sides. I'll unping the wires from the bottom, lay it flat, try and stop dry bits pinging everywhere. At least this comb is empty of nectar and stores. That's when it gets really messy. And rip it off. So I've just literally pulled the wires out. I've got a free chunk that I can chop up and put in there. So frame's all stripped and wax is now boiling away on the stove. I put it in a large pan. Water. See, done up the cheesecloth with a rubber band. Just peg it to the side of the pan to stop it falling down and me having to fish around in boiling water. After your cheesecloth bundles have boiled for a while, you will notice that they have reduced in volume significantly because the wax will have melted. And when you lift them up and it runs out, you've got a much smaller bundle. You have to make a judgment call on whether you think you've got all the useful wax out at that point. And then you can hitch the bundles up, attach them to the side of the pan with a peg and let them drain. And then let the whole lot cool. And when everything is cold, you will end up with a lovely wax disc on top of some pretty dirty looking water, like this. And like these. You might not get a huge amount of wax out of old comb because there tends to be less wax left in it the older it is. So as you can see, many of these slices of wax are quite thin. But in my view, it's still worth collecting all that you can from the comb because beeswax is lovely. A quick word of caution here before I return to the rest of that video showing briefly what I did with all the lovely rendered beeswax, and that is this. In the video, I am rendering my wax on a hob, which is completely safe because there is no open flame. Beeswax is flammable, that's why you make candles from it. And if you are using a gas cooker with an open flame, then you might want to think carefully and risk assess your wax melting process. Melting down a candle that didn't work. I'll be doing some more candle moulds. They're quite handy once you get the wick in hanging out the bottom. Ooh, missed it. To sit on jam jars when you pull the wax in. Just poured those candles a while ago. Various ways of trying to keep the wick central. Bit of wire. You can get proper pins and things.